Have you ever noticed how the harder you try to control every detail of your life, the more chaotic everything becomes? Have you wondered why some people seem to effortlessly attract exactly what they need, while you struggle to make even simple things work out? What if I told you that there's an invisible intelligence orchestrating your life right now, and the only thing standing between you and perfect alignment is your refusal to trust its process? Joseph Campbell, the master decoder of human transformation and the hero's journey, spent his entire career studying one fundamental question: why do some people live lives of extraordinary fulfillment while others struggle endlessly, despite their best efforts? What he discovered challenges everything our culture teaches us about success, control, and making things happen. Campbell found that there's a cosmic intelligence, an organizing principle that operates beyond our conscious understanding, constantly working to align us with our highest good. But here's the paradox that most people never understand. This intelligence can only work through us when we stop trying to control it, when we learn to trust its process completely, when we surrender our small will to its infinite wisdom. We live in a society obsessed with control, with having all the answers, with forcing outcomes through sheer willpower and strategic planning. We're taught that if we're not constantly pushing, manipulating, and orchestrating every detail, we're being lazy or irresponsible. But Campbell discovered that this approach actually blocks the very alignment we're desperately seeking. Think about it. When was the last time your best-laid plans actually unfolded exactly as you designed them? When was the last time forcing and controlling actually led to the outcomes you truly wanted? When was the last time trying to micromanage the universe actually made your life easier or more fulfilling? If you're recognizing yourself in this description I just made, know that you're definitely not alone in this. Actually, if this video is making sense to you so far, hit the like button to help me bring this reflection to more people who really need to hear this message. And subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. That goes to the root of problems and really makes you think differently about life. Now tell me in the comments, what's one area of your life where you've been trying to control the outcome instead of trusting the process? I read all the comments, and this helps me understand better how to create content that really impacts your lives. Campbell understood that life operates according to what he called the principle of intelligent alignment. This principle suggests that there's a natural order, a perfect timing, a cosmic choreography that's constantly working to bring us exactly what we need for our highest evolution. But this alignment can only manifest when we learn to work with it rather than against it. This isn't about being passive or giving up on your dreams. It's about understanding the difference between aligned action and forced action, between trusting guidance and abandoning responsibility, between surrendering control and surrendering to wisdom. Campbell discovered that people who master this distinction live lives of such perfect synchronicity that it seems almost magical to outside observers. The first way that everything aligns when you trust the process is through what Campbell called the emergence of perfect timing. Most people experience life as a series of missed opportunities, bad timing, and frustrating delays. They're constantly feeling like they're too early for some things and too late for others, like they can never quite sync up with the rhythm of life. But Campbell found that when you truly trust the process, when you stop trying to force your timeline onto the universe's timeline, something extraordinary happens. You begin to move in perfect synchronization with the flow of life itself. Opportunities appear exactly when you're ready for them. People show up precisely when you need them. Resources become available right when you require them. This perfect timing isn't coincidence. It's evidence of your alignment with what Campbell called the intelligence of the whole. When you stop fighting the current and start flowing with it, when you stop imposing your will and start aligning with cosmic will, you become part of a larger orchestration that's infinitely more sophisticated than anything your individual mind could plan. Think about how a river flows toward the ocean. It doesn't fight the landscape, it works with it. It doesn't struggle against obstacles, it finds the path of least resistance. It doesn't worry about reaching its destination. It trusts the natural law of gravity to guide it there. The river reaches the ocean not through force, but through surrender to the intelligence that governs all water. When you learn to trust the process like a river trusts gravity, your life begins to flow with the same natural ease. What once required enormous effort becomes effortless. What once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. What once felt like struggle becomes like dancing with the universe itself. But here's what most people don't understand about divine timing. It's not about waiting passively for things to happen. It's about being so attuned to the subtle guidance of the universe that you know exactly when to act and when to wait, when to push forward, and when to pull back, when to say yes and when to say no. Campbell discovered that people who trust the process develop what he called impeccable timing instincts. They seem to know intuitively when opportunities are ripe, when relationships are ready to deepen, when it's time to make big changes or hold steady. This timing sense doesn't come from analysis or strategy. It comes from deep attunement to the rhythm of life itself. The second way everything aligns when you trust the process is through what Campbell called the magnetic attraction of authentic needs. When you're constantly trying to control outcomes, when you're focused on what you want rather than what you actually need, you often end up attracting the wrong things or the right things at the wrong time. But when you trust the process, when you surrender your preferences to the universe's wisdom, something remarkable happens. You begin to magnetize exactly what you need for your highest evolution, often in forms you never would have imagined or requested. This is because the universe sees the bigger picture of your life, the complete arc of your development, the ultimate destination of your soul's journey. What your conscious mind thinks it wants is often just a small piece of what your deeper self actually needs for its complete fulfillment. Campbell found that people who trust the process stop trying to dictate to the universe how their good should come and instead become open to receiving their good in whatever form serves their highest development. They stop being attached to specific outcomes and start being committed to their overall growth and evolution. This shift from wanting to needing, from demanding to allowing, from controlling to trusting, completely changes your relationship with manifestation. Instead of trying to force the universe to give you what you think you want, you become a clear channel for the universe to give you what you actually need. And here's the beautiful paradox. When you stop trying to get what you want and start trusting that you'll receive what you need, you often end up getting everything you wanted and more. But you get it in timing, in packaging, in circumstances that are perfectly designed for your highest good. The universe has access to possibilities that your conscious mind can't even imagine. It can orchestrate solutions that involve thousands of variables, perfect timing, and the cooperation of multiple people and circumstances. But it can only deliver these miraculous alignments when you trust its process completely. The third way everything aligns when you trust the process is through what Campbell discovered was the dissolution of internal resistance. Most people don't realize how much energy they waste fighting against their own lives, resisting what's happening, rejecting what's being offered, trying to make reality conform to their preferences. This internal resistance creates what Campbell called energetic friction that blocks the natural flow of alignment. It's like trying to swim upstream while complaining that the current is too strong. The resistance itself is what makes the journey difficult, not the actual circumstances you're facing. When you truly trust the process, when you accept that everything happening in your life is somehow serving your highest evolution, you stop wasting energy on resistance and start channeling all your power into alignment. You stop fighting what is and start working with what is to create what could be. This doesn't mean becoming passive or accepting mediocrity. It means understanding that resistance to your current reality blocks your ability to transform it. You can't create something new while rejecting what's already here. You can't step into your future while denying your present. Campbell found that people who master this principle develop what he called the alchemist's perspective. They understand that every experience, even the challenging ones, contains raw material for their transformation. They stop seeing obstacles as problems and start seeing them as opportunities to develop the strength, wisdom, and skills they'll need for their next level of life. When you stop resisting your circumstances and start asking, how is this serving my evolution? What is this teaching me? How can I use this experience to become who I'm meant to be? Everything changes. Challenges become curriculum. Setbacks become setup for comebacks. Problems become doorways to greater possibilities. This shift in perspective creates what Campbell called the transformer's power. Instead of being a victim of your circumstances, you become an alchemist who can transform any situation into gold. Instead of waiting for your life to be perfect before you can be happy, you find ways to grow and contribute regardless of your current conditions. The fourth way everything aligns when you trust the process is through what Campbell called the revelation of hidden connections. When you're constantly trying to control outcomes, when you're focused only on your immediate goals and desires, you often miss the intricate web of connections that's operating beneath the surface of your life. But when you trust the process, when you step back and allow the bigger picture to reveal itself, you begin to see how everything in your life is interconnected, how every experience has been preparing you for something larger, how every person you've met has contributed to your development in some way. Campbell discovered that life operates like a vast, intelligent tapestry where every thread is connected to every other thread. What appears random and chaotic from up close reveals itself as perfectly ordered and meaningful when viewed from the proper perspective. When you trust this process, you stop trying to understand everything immediately and start appreciating the mystery of how your life is unfolding. You develop what Campbell called the cosmic perspective, the ability to see your individual story as part of a much larger narrative that's beautiful beyond your current comprehension. This perspective helps you trust the process even when things don't make sense logically, even when circumstances seem to be moving in the wrong direction, even when the path forward isn't clear. You understand that your life is being written by an intelligence far greater than your conscious mind, and that this intelligence never makes mistakes. People who develop this trust often look back on their lives and see that everything that happened, even the painful experiences, was somehow necessary for bringing them to where they needed to be. They see that the delays were actually perfect timing, that the rejections led to better opportunities, that the challenges developed exactly the strength they would later need. The fifth way everything aligns when you trust the process is through what Campbell called the activation of synchronistic support. When you're trying to control everything yourself, when you're operating from the belief that you have to make everything happen through your individual effort, you cut yourself off from the vast network of support that's available to you. But when you trust the process, when you surrender your small will to the larger intelligence, you open yourself to what Campbell called the universe's collaboration. Suddenly, help appears from unexpected sources. People show up with exactly the resources or information you need. Opportunities arise that seem perfectly tailored to your situation. This isn't wishful thinking or magical thinking. It's the natural result of aligning yourself with the flow of life instead of swimming against it. When you're in alignment, you become part of the solution that the universe is trying to create, and the universe supports its own solutions. Campbell found that people who trust the process develop what he called synchronicity consciousness. They become incredibly skilled at recognizing and following the signs, symbols, and guidance that the universe is constantly providing. They learn to read the language of synchronicity and use it to navigate their lives with extraordinary precision. These synchronicities become more frequent and more obvious the more you trust them. What starts as occasional meaningful coincidences becomes a constant dialogue between you and the intelligence that governs your life. You learn to ask for guidance and then pay attention to how that guidance shows up in your experience. Sometimes the guidance comes through other people who say exactly what you need to hear. Sometimes it comes through books that fall off shelves or articles that appear in your feed at the perfect moment. Sometimes it comes through inner knowing, dreams, or sudden insights that seem to arise from nowhere. The key is learning to trust this guidance even when it doesn't make logical sense, even when it asks you to do things that seem counterintuitive, even when it leads you in directions you hadn't planned to go. Campbell discovered that the universe's intelligence is far more sophisticated than human logic, and that trusting its guidance always leads to better outcomes than following your individual reasoning alone. The sixth way everything aligns when you trust the process is through what Campbell discovered was the emergence of effortless action. Most people believe that achieving their goals requires enormous effort, constant struggle, and the willingness to push through resistance and obstacles through sheer determination. But Campbell found that when you're truly aligned with your path, when you're trusting the process completely, action becomes effortless. Not because there's no work involved, but because the work feels like play, like a natural expression of who you are rather than something you're forcing yourself to do. This effortless action arises when you stop trying to swim upstream and start flowing with the current of your life. When you're aligned with your true purpose, when you're following your genuine inspiration, when you're trusting the timing and the process, everything you do feels supported by forces beyond yourself. Campbell called this the warrior's flow, the state where action and non-action become perfectly balanced, where you're simultaneously deeply engaged and completely surrendered, where you're giving your all while trusting the outcome to the universe. People in this state often accomplish far more than those who are constantly pushing and striving, but they do it with a sense of ease and joy that makes their success feel inevitable rather than forced. They become channels for creative force rather than sources of it, conduits for cosmic will rather than generators of individual will. This doesn't mean becoming lazy or passive. It means becoming so aligned with the flow of life that your actions feel as natural and effortless as breathing. It means finding the place where your deepest joy meets the world's deepest need and allowing yourself to serve from that intersection. The seventh and most profound way that everything aligns when you trust the process is through what Campbell called the recognition of your cosmic role. When you stop trying to control your life according to your limited understanding and start trusting the larger intelligence that governs all existence, you begin to see that your life has a significance far beyond what you previously imagined. Campbell discovered that every person has what he called a cosmic function, a unique role to play in the evolution of consciousness, a specific contribution to make to the healing and development of the world. But this role can only be revealed and fulfilled when you trust the process that's designed to prepare you for it. When you're constantly trying to force outcomes based on your small understanding, you often end up pursuing goals that aren't aligned with your deeper purpose. You chase things that you think will make you happy, but that actually move you away from your true calling. You waste years trying to become someone you're not, instead of becoming who you truly are. But when you trust the process, when you allow your life to unfold according to its inherent wisdom, you gradually discover what Campbell called your unique gift to the world. You realize that all your experiences, even the difficult ones, have been preparing you to serve in a way that only you can serve. This recognition transforms everything about how you view your life. Suddenly, every experience has meaning. Every challenge has purpose. Every relationship has contributed to your development. Every setback has built strength you'll need for your service. Every success has prepared you for greater responsibility. When you see your life from this cosmic perspective, when you understand that you're part of a larger story that's unfolding through you, trusting the process becomes easy. You realize that the intelligence guiding your life is the same intelligence that creates galaxies, orchestrates ecosystems, and governs the movement of planets. You understand that this intelligence is far more sophisticated than your individual mind, far more loving than your personal heart, far more powerful than your individual will. Trusting it isn't giving up your power, it's aligning with a power infinitely greater than anything you could generate on your own. Campbell's ultimate message is that the process is trustworthy because it's intelligent, it's loving, and it's designed for your highest good. The universe isn't random or chaotic. It's a perfectly orchestrated symphony of consciousness, expressing itself through infinite variations and countless individual stories. Your life is one of those stories, a unique verse in the cosmic poem, a special note in the universal song. When you trust the process, when you allow your story to unfold according to its inherent wisdom, you discover that it's more beautiful, more meaningful, and more perfectly designed than anything you could have planned yourself. The alignment you're seeking isn't something you create, it's something you allow. The life you're meant to live isn't something you force into existence, it's something you surrender into receiving. The purpose you're searching for isn't something you figure out. It's something you trust into revealing itself. Everything you need is already available to you. Every resource required for your fulfillment already exists. Every person who can help you is already in the cosmic network. Every opportunity necessary for your success is already in the universal field of possibilities. The only thing required is your trust. Trust in the process, trust in the timing, trust in the intelligence that governs all existence. Trust that your life is unfolding exactly as it should, preparing you for something beautiful beyond your current imagination. When you make this shift from controlling to trusting, from forcing to allowing, from demanding to receiving, everything changes. Life becomes an adventure instead of a struggle. Growth becomes exciting instead of threatening. The unknown becomes promising instead of scary. You realize that you've never been alone, never been abandoned, never been forgotten by the universe. You've always been held, guided, and supported by an intelligence that loves you more than you love yourself, and wants your success more than you want it yourself. Trust the process. Align with the flow. Allow the magic that's your birthright to unfold in its own perfect timing. Your extraordinary life is not a distant possibility. It's an approaching reality that's organizing itself around your willingness to receive it. And remember, if this video brought any new insight to you, share in the comments what it was. I read all of them, and this helps me create even better content for our community.